Hi, my name is Mark Monlix, and I'm going to be your host this week for Epic Sketch Time, an online drawing group. If you'd like to join Epic Sketch Time, feel free to check out the doobly-doo in the link below. Go to we have a sign-up sheet on MailChimp, and you'll be receiving notifications and invites via that. I do a couple of different things. I'm a freelance illustrator here in Tacoma, Washington, and I do a strip called The Comic Critic where I do cartoon reviews of movies. And with me today are Patrick and Bill. Bill, why don't you tell the folks about yourself?
Hi, I'm Bill Morse. I'm a cartoonist and illustrator working out of Seattle, Washington, and I do a web comic called Rhapsodies at rhapsodies.wpmorse.com.
My name is Pat McEwen. I do a comic called The Devil and Mr. Gandhi, and you can read that at devilandgandhi.com.
So my project today is to do a quick look over, make sure I haven't missed any black and white smidgens on this wonderful piece of art, and then to start coloring it. So this is a character referred to as Trumpy from a particularly bad E.T. movie ripoff called The Pod People, which I believe was done in Spain, and it was horrendously awful, as you could tell by this ludicrous creature design. What are you guys going to be working on?
Well, I decided that I hadn't been having any real new, with the it being the second month of the new year, I realized that I haven't done any new illustrations for my portfolio recently. So I have two ideas that this one, which was from my Inktober sketch challenge this year, which was the one that went over best, which is campfire stories with a Sasquatch listening in, and my other one that has possibilities and I'm calling orangutans playing poker, which at the moment it's inking a blue screen version of the original ink sketch, so I don't know whether this is working. I might want to start it again from scratch. That's why I'm working mostly on the Sasquatch campfire one tonight.
I have a suggestion.
Yes.
With orangutans being orange,
yes,
I think that if you have some grapes, both green and purple, as chips,
yes,
it will set off against the warm colors and draw attention to the pot.
Good idea.
So you have a yellow banana, but yellow is kind of, the shape's going to be a dead giveaway, but yellow is kind of like another warm color like the orange and wouldn't really stand out as much.
Fortunately, green bananas are a thing. So that's a very good idea.
Are you working on the cover of a comic book, Patrick?
Yes, I am. I'm hoping that this will wind up being my contribution to Free Comic Book Day, which, as we know, is the first Saturday in May each year. And I'm hoping to do something that, at the very least, I can distribute digitally for free.
That reminds me to start going through of my collection and start taking all of the garbage out. A friend of mine who runs a comic book store, his way of running Free Comics Day, rather than this is as a plug, this is the Dreaming in Seattle. He, rather than buying the quote free comics unquote that all of the big presses sell to distribute for Free Comic Book Day, he gets donations from people's quarter bins and has all of these really C-rated comics in long boxes for people to take, and it is quite popular. And I keep meaning to get rid of all of my Malibus that way, but I keep forgetting every year.
Your Malibu? What is a Malibu?
Malibu Comics, best known for the a attempt to until they got bought out by Marvel, they were best known for they were one of the companies that tried to do a superhero universe. So you may have heard of titles that they had. It included stuff like Prime, the Solitude. It's so forgettable. I'm forgetting them as I speak. But they had some good talent working on them at the beginning. But a lot of it was, but at the same time, most of it was total hack work. Standard 90s cash in on the collector's craze stuff. But much as I have some very good things in my comic book collection, regrettably, 80% of it is stuff like this.
Emerald City Comic Con is going to be happening later on this week. I'll be able to report on it next Monday. I'm going to have a table in the Artist Alley section. My table is NN3.
Nice.
Bill, I sent you a message on Facebook. Matt Youngmark is looking for people to help out on his Booth Buddy. All he can offer is that you get a chance to go into the show during one of the days. He's hoping to have people help him out on the various days.
That would be very cool. When did you send it? I didn't think I saw it.
I sent it about half an hour ago, I think.
Okay. Then that's...
You may want to go to his Facebook page and see if there are any days that have been already pre-selected, or contact him directly.
Okay. Well, considering the extent of my comic time for that, with my ECC participation was probably going to consist of me hanging out by the nearby park drawing cosplayers. That's definitely interesting.
Yeah, he mentioned I saw it on his Facebook. He said that he probably should have thought about getting partners sooner, but I think perhaps he was thinking his wife would be able to assist.
Right.
They also have a small child who he and his wife have agreed to refer to on social media as cheese fries rather than by the kid's actual name.
Probably a good idea for the kid's social status in the world.
Yeah, they figure no one needs to know or see pictures of him until he's can handle his own accounts. It's an interesting take, and you'll have to ask him the story behind how they decided to go with the name cheese fries.
I'm sure it's some sort of family in joke, but I'm sure it's an interesting story.
Patrick, are you doing any shows coming up?
No. I may be doing one show in the fall, but I may also be doing 2 shows in the fall. Nothing else on my schedule at the moment.
You typically don't do very many shows, do you?
No, I don't.
Yeah, I mean, I'm hoping to start doing the circuit again, though obviously it'll be a while before I have enough of a budget and a fan base to make ECC worth it again.
One of my friends decided to do a booth because he got tired of not getting in because they screen the Artist Alley people. He got tired of having his merchandise questioned. You know, he wanted to sell T-shirts without having to worry about it. So he just decided, oh man, look at all that. I accidentally created an edge here, which I didn't mean to. I'm going to have to go back to the beginning of this. I'm just going to quit this file and reopen it. Don't you hate it when you make a mistake like that?
Oh, I can sympathize. I had a really close call last night when I was nearly finished a strip and Photoshop froze on me, and I had no choice but to shut it down. Fortunately, I had saved more recently than I thought I had.
Right now, this image is kind of cropped for a very narrow along here and here and here for my playing cards. But for an 11 by 17 print, if I ever wanted to do this for 11 by 17, I need to extend out the edges a bit wider. Matter of fact, I'm just going to put this on an 11 by 17 and see where I really need to work that in. So my billable hours that I did earlier today was a client had me go in and grab a number of screenshots off of a video that they had to be used in articles for this web newsletter. And it was pretty short work. And I think he could have done it himself, but he's one of those people that he knows how to do it. If he would have to futz around for half an hour to remember how to do it on Facebook because he doesn't really do it a whole lot. So he'd rather just call me up and have me be able to do it in 15 minutes or so. Oh, I got to go see Black Panther this weekend.
Oh, cool! Everything. I noticed that you had marked it off on your Letterbox page. How'd you like it?
I like Letterbox a lot.
Let me. I have to repeat the question, or are you going to continue being a wise ass?
No, it was one of the better Marvel movies.
That's what I'm hearing.
And only because it really goes in at a social conscious level.
Not just out of curiosity, what does your top 10 Marvel list consist of?
Well, you know, there's only been about 10 Marvel movies.
I thought it was up to 20 by now.
Let's see. I really enjoyed Doctor Strange immensely. And when Iron Man, the first Iron Man came out, that just set the whole tone in a wonderful way. So that, and I think I would have to, Guardians of the Galaxy really nailed it.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say that my favorite Marvel movie so far is the first Guardians of the Galaxy, followed by, I hate to say Iron Man, but honest to God, if I had the choice of, sitting in a theater and rewatching it with the crowd, I think I'd prefer watching it with a crowd with Iron Man, knowing that the crowd would be really into it.
Yeah.
I think there's more of a crowd pleaser to that than there is for Doctor Strange. But I love Doctor Strange. So those are my top three.
Okay, cool.
How about you, gentlemen? What are your top 3 or top 10 Marvel movies?
I definitely put Guardians of the Galaxy up in it. I think I'm one of the few people who like the first Thor movie, though I think that's more for me having bias due to being a fan of Branagh's work. I liked both of I liked Winter Soldier as well as I was about to say Civil War as well, but honestly, other than the bells and whistles, it doesn't hold up as well as it should. The weakest ones for me so far were probably Age of Ultron and the second Guardians movie.
Pat, you're awful quiet. What are your thoughts?
It's funny. There was a contest to win something comic related on Goodreads.com, I think it was, and they were like, "What's your favorite, comic book character or comic book series?" And I went back to my formative years, my childhood, and I got into Captain America back in the 90s when it was still like either 75 cents or $1. I think it might have been just at $1, which was cheaper than other comics. A lot of the other comics were $1.99. And the artist Ron Lim was doing the covers and some of the interiors as well. And I just loved reading that book. So I wrote, just as kind of a nostalgic type of thing, Captain America. And to this day, the first Captain America movie is, believe it or not, probably my favorite Marvel comic book movie, in part because it's like mostly a period piece movie. And that's also why I liked so much the TV show Agent Carter, because I thought they did a great job of capturing a kind of retro period piece feel, but with comedy and with, good acting and special effects. So the first Captain America definitely ranks up near the top. I mean, if we're going back to, the Spider-Man movies, the first 2 Spider-Man movies are great. The first Iron Man is worthy of being high up on the list because it was quite well done. I really did not like the Thor movies. I still haven't seen Ragnarok, but the first 2 are just kind of worthless to me. Sorry, Bill.
No, fair enough. I freely admit that this is one of the more of those case personal fandom things that I throw a blind spot to its obvious faults on.
I did enjoy Doctor Strange. I thought that was well done and like an interesting, it did a better job of being like a self-contained movie that wasn't trying to automatically just shoehorn itself into the Avengers movies, you know?
Yeah. I mean, what I liked about it's funny, the biggest thing I liked about the first Guardians was it was so cool to see a popular space opera movie that was not Star Wars or Star Trek. Because as a sci-fi fan, one of my mild pet peeves about how popular science fiction is glutted with that.
Well, and if you look at like the movies, the Marvel movies that were done as like team movies, the first Guardians of the Galaxy is really good because I wound up watching the Avengers and the second Avengers movie, but they're like, I don't know. I certainly didn't enjoy them as much as I enjoyed the first Guardians of the Galaxy. Like, I think it really struck a great balance of being fun and being an action movie. Whereas, I don't know, even, the first two Avengers movies to this day just seem kind of very forced.
I can see that.
Yeah.
And I mean, with Age of Ultron, I mean, it's weird. I don't know why this is, considering all the wild, weird things you're expected to see, to believe in the setting, but for some reason, their version of the Vision really forces my suspension of disbelief.
I love that Vision. Oh, thought they did a great job on him. But as a person who's seen the original Avengers movie, the one that came out in the 70s, and the original Captain America movie, which also came out in the 70s, where Cap, his ears were glued on to the outside of his makeup. Did you know this?
I was aware of it. I did not know of a 1970s Avengers movie.
Oh, look up it on YouTube. You can see both Thor and Hulk getting together for a team up. But yeah, the first Captain America's movie, originally the guy, the helmet he wore had holes for his ears, but they were extremely uncomfortable. And they definitely wanted to have the ears because, Captain America's ears popped out. That's how it was in the comics. Its ears were on the outside of the helmet. So forget, going for, a possible new look. They just glued some plastic ears to the side of the guy's head.
Was that the one with the Italian Red Skull?
I have to be honest, Bill, I don't know. So much of it's been blotted from my memory. I seem to recall him jumping over a Jeep in a motorcycle, and that's about as much of the movie as I can recollect. I'm also a fan of the original Wonder Woman TV show, but I also grew up watching, a very colorful Batman on the TV screen with the whole kapow and zing and zowies and
Holy fill-in-the-blank Batmans.
I was listening to a podcast the other day that was talking about the Batman 66 exhibit happening in Hollywood at the Hollywood Museum. And not only were they able to get hold of the original costumes, but the original costumes are kind of beat up. They went through a lot of wear and tear. But they had the a lot of cosplayers take this stuff pretty seriously. So they had people who had recreated practically down to the stitch the original costumes, but you can see how it looked like originally before all the wear and tear. They had a lot of the original props. There are some people who have been collecting Batman paraphernalia for years. And they approached this one guy and said, oh, yeah, I started putting this stuff together, 20 years ago, hoping to put together an exhibit myself. And he was able to reach out to all of his friends and, the original sign to the Batcave. One guy found in a junkyard the original Bat computer.
Wow.
And I said, how about I take that off your hand? He said, yeah, bring a truck. Get it out of here. It's just taking up space.
Sounds almost like the old sounds like the Young Frankenstein story, how one of the things that makes it great is that Mel Brooks scored all of the original equipment.
It's 5 o'clock.
Well, that original equipment has been on lease and has been seen in at least 50 different science fiction films over the years.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to remember the guy's name, but they actually call these machines by the guy's name. And for the life of me, I can't remember his name now. But his son had been renting out all this stuff and finally was able to, he was worried about just getting to be so old that it was falling apart and not being able to kept up. So again, he was able to get a museum to take it off his hands. I also saw, since we last got together, Wonder Woman.
Oh, cool. You hadn't seen it already?
No, I hadn't seen. Yeah, I wanted to see it in the theater, but I never got around to it. How about you, Patrick? Have you seen Wonder Woman?
I have. I enjoyed it. I thought it was well done. Again, it had that part, period piece type of aspect to it. So it kind of reminded me of the first Captain America movie. The only portions that I did not like were like and someone pointed out to me that they're like, oh, you didn't like the Zack Snyder parts of the movie. And I'm like, I guess I didn't, because it just used a little bit too much CGI, and I think they could have done more traditional and slightly less super slow-mo.
Oh.
And, there were some aspects of it that I was like, yeah, I didn't like this, that, and the other thing. And someone said, it's like, you didn't like the Snyder elements. I said, but yes, I said, fair enough. I said, but I still am a defender of Watchmen. I really, really like that movie. So it's not, I don't know. I felt like in Wonder Woman it was just a little bit misplaced.
Bill.
Yes.
What movies did you end up picking up for your watch list last week?
Captain Blood and the Black Pirate.
Oh, I'm trying to remember. I know I've seen Captain Blood. I'm trying to remember Black Pirate. What year did Black Pirate come out?
Mid-30s. I hadn't heard of it until I was doing research for something to go with Errol Flynn either. It's Douglas Fairbanks.
Oh, is it a silent film?
Yes. And I'm trying to figure it out, and oddly, it's in color. I don't know whether it was Turner or somebody like Turner coloring it, or if it was one of those interesting experiments that we'd never heard of. I am going to have to look that up when I finish watching it tonight.
You'll have to tell me if this is the one where he jumps onto the ship's sail and he stabs his knife into the sail and he slows himself falling to the ground by ripping a long cut into the sail, doing two things at once, rendering the sail useless and creating a really dynamic entrance.
Yeah, I don't, for Blood, it wasn't, definitely not on for Captain Blood, but I always thought that was a bit of a swashbuckling cliche.
Oh no, Fairbanks did it first.
Okay.
And I know he did it in a silent film. I'm trying.
I'll keep my eyes out for it then.
And if this is the one that it was done in, then I've seen it.
I'm pretty sure Kirk Douglas does that in the movie The Vikings as well.
Yes, he does. And I'm trying to think who else has done it over time. So, Bill, here's something interesting.
Yes.
I received my Artist Alley passes in the mail today.
Very cool. Though admittedly it sounds a little late.
What do you mean?
We're talking for Emerald City?
Yes.
Well, I would have assumed you'd have gotten them a couple of weeks ago.
Well, typically you don't, I've never received passes before in the mail.
Okay.
You've always gone in and picked them up.
Oh, okay.
But apparently this time around, it's going to make it much easier to check in and set up the table without having to go through the hassle of sending someone in first to I wonder if that's why they did it, so that they don't have to worry about there being a clog at the table and people picking up their badges.
Yeah.
Because it's always been a bit of a time swallow where a lot of people would just go in and start setting up and get their passes later. If they're trying to keep security on top of things, maybe they're trying to keep people from having to do that. Anyway, I was very pleased, and now it's up to me to remember to take those passes with me when I go to the show later this week. It's going to be over, Emerald City is going to be over 4 days. It starts on Thursday. And in the past, when they've started on a Thursday or on a Friday, they've had it opened up, fairly late. But this time, no, it's going to be basically from 10 to 7 every day but Sunday, when it's going to be from 10 to 5.
Impressive.
Yeah, it's going to be absolutely grueling. And I'm assuming that both of you guys have heard about Kevin Smith.
Yes.
About him being there or something else?
Kevin Smith had a heart attack last night.
Massive heart attack.
Oh. No, I had not heard about that.
Yeah, he sent out a picture of him sitting in the hospital bed with tubes coming out of him. He said that had he not quit, he canceled his second show, decided to go to the hospital instead. Doctor said that's a fine idea, probably saved your life. And they put a stent in his heart. I thought it was interesting that in his comments he was saying, I was pretty happy, facing death. I always thought I'd be a big whiny baby about it. But honestly, I was just a little miffed that I wasn't finished with the Jay and Silent Bob reboot. So it's nice to know where his priorities are.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay, his fur coat's looking a lot better. I think I'll increase some of the blacks on this side a little bit. So this was one of two very horrible ET ripoffs. The worst ET ripoff. Well, this is a pretty bad ET ripoff. I can't say that the other one's the worst, but the American Mac and Me.
Oh, I seen the DVD for it. I've never paid much attention to it otherwise.
It is horrendous. It is beyond awful. I think I have the art for it. Hang on, let me see if I can pull it up. And here we go. This is Mac from Mac and Me. And that big eye, open mouth, ooh type of expression never changes, even on his parents. His mother, of which, of course, gives birth in a family household. It just, oh my God. So awful.
Is it one of the ones where you find yourself being distracted by critiquing how bad the effects are?
Oh, yeah. Forget critiquing the bad effects. That's within the first 5 minutes.
There was this one of the recent times I was playing, going to Scarecrow. They were playing this awful direct-to-video's 80s flick about miniature dinosaurs as pets. And I found myself watching them sheerly as sort of trying to figure out the just what cheap effects they were using for the dinosaurs. And my best guess was rod puppets. But that was how bad this thing was.
So I was having a movie discussion with a friend of mine. We were talking about that there are movies that are fun to see, and that's their value, is that they're simply fun.
Mm-hmm.
Movies that you should see, and then movies that you have to see.
Right.
Like, you have to see Frankenstein and The Bride of Frankenstein.
Oh, yeah, I have it on hold right now.
Because it's culturally imperative that you watch these movies. And you should see movies that, enlighten you or give you more information or make you a better person. Like, you don't have to see Schindler's List, but you should see Schindler's List.
I have not. I'm afraid to say I have not seen Schindler's List for the same reason I have not seen Titanic. I was worried that it would trigger my clinical depression. Oh, now that I'm mostly over that, I might rethink that last one.
I've recently talked about movies that are probably should see, but once may be enough. Like my wife and I watched The Revenant, and it was very good, but I probably never need to watch it ever again.
I heard it was very good, albeit annoyingly preachy.
I mean, it's worth watching if you're a fan of cinema. And believe it or not, like, I'm a huge Del Toro fan, and I went and saw The Shape of Water in theaters, and it was very good. And you can just tell just how finely crafted a movie it is. But I may not need to see that for quite some time again. Especially if you said, well, do you want to watch Pan's Labyrinth again, or do you want to watch Shape of Water again? I would pick Pan's Labyrinth 99 times out of 100. I would just keep watching it again and again and again.
Have you had a chance seeing The Devil's Backbone?
I have, and really enjoyed that. I think that's a movie that because it's more of a slow burn. Again, I think Pan's Labyrinth is Del Toro's kind of masterwork at this point. But I really did enjoy Devil's Backbone.
I love how you came up and said the phrase slow burn, because that is the third time this week I've had, or within the last 7 days, I've had someone use the phrase slow burn in reference to a movie or a TV show. And some people enjoy a slow burn movie, and other people don't. And I really enjoy a slow burn movie if there's a good payoff.
Well, sure, and a slow burn is perfect for a ghost story too.
Oh yes.
So it certainly makes sense with Devil's Backbone. That's a creepy movie, man.
Making sure I understand the word properly, because when I hear the term slow burn, I assume it's the why me look that Oliver Hardy gives the camera.
No, a slow burn is in reference to building the story structure gradually without any type of exposition.
Okay.
And whereas, you know how there are plots within subplots?
Yeah.
Okay, sometimes those subplots can be explained away with some exposition during the story, but sometimes there's a multiple or one or multiple stories that are going on that have a slow burn where you really don't see the climax of it until within the last few frames of the film. Sometimes you can see the slow burn coming away. It's predictable. And other times it's not. And Pan's Labyrinth has a number of wonderful slow burns throughout and they all of them pay off. And I don't want to do any spoilers for you because I know you haven't seen it yet. Or rather, I'm assuming you haven't seen it yet. Or did you just say you haven't seen it?
Pan's Labyrinth?
Yes.
I saw half of it.
Bill, I like the way that you're improving the Sasquatch's nose, using more like a comma structure than just flat holes that you had before.
Yeah.
So,
I think I'm basing it mostly on a lot of those gorilla portraits I've been doing.
But I kind of like the pinhead, more of the pinhead look that you had before. On your that was more implied on your original sketch. You got more of a round head on the one that you have right now.
You mean the guy telling the story, or?
No, I'm talking about the Sasquatch creature.
Okay.
His head doesn't look pointy enough.
Oh, I can fix that.
Whereas because of either how you cropped or drew the initial lines, but I really enjoyed. If you've ever seen the movie Harry and the Hendersons,
that was a good. That was a good costume.
I loved his pointy head on that one.
Talk about a slow burn. Well, my wife and I have been watching the TV show The Crown on Netflix, and it's very enjoyable. And John Lithgow is in there. He plays Winston Churchill, but like I can't get him out of my mind without thinking of Harry and the Hendersons.
That was him. I thought that was Craig. The guy who was the voice, the guy from Poltergeist.
No.
Huh.
Okay.
Mark, would you say Harry and the Hendersons is a must-see movie, a try-to-see movie?
No, Harry and the Hendersons is just a fun-to-see movie. Much along the lines of Ice Pirates. Ice Pirates doesn't fall into you have to see or you must see. Ice Pirates it's just fun to see.
Yeah, because I mean, it was.
You've seen Ice Pirates? What?
I've seen Ice Pirates.
Okay, good for you. You're not culturally illiterate.
Give me
if
some
you only
credit
see
there.
one Robert Urich movie, make it Ice Pirates.
Now, a movie that sort of like straddles between you must see and you have to see is American Graffiti. Most blockbusters are just in the fun to see category. And it's amazing how many Best Picture movies don't really fall into any of those categories. Well, except Life is Beautiful. Life is Beautiful is one of those you should see it movies.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and that makes a bizarre bookend to if you're going to watch Schindler's List.
That would make for a bizarre double feature.
Oh, well, have you ever seen one of the World War II movies that I haven't seen that just goes all out on the nastiness of war is something called Come and See. And I'm nervous about watching that one. I know probably.
What's it called?
Come and See. I think it came out in 2014 or thereabouts, maybe 2010. Another really good one is Europa, Europa, which is about this Polish Jew. He's a kid, and he hides in plain sight by joining the Hitler's Youth. He should see is The Tin Drum.
Oh.
Again, set in Poland during World War II. Really good. Let's see. Mrs. Miniver was a World War II movie that won Best Picture just because of its timing, but it doesn't fall in any of those categories. still, it's a good, wonderful World War II movie. I'm trying to think of ones that show war in a not so wonderful light.
Well, what about what's it called? The Best Years of Our Lives?
Oh, wonderful! That is a
that's like cinema history too. So I mean that kind of
that's a should you should watch this movie. That's a should see. There's The Pianist. That is an absolutely wonderful one about another Polish Jew making it through World War II. And have either of you seen The Pianist?
I think
No.
maybe years and years ago.
Though I think I might be getting it mixed up with that New Zealand film.
You're thinking of The Piano.
Okay.
Or maybe I'm confusing that movie with that too. Oh, is this with the guy from King Kong?
Yes.
Okay. No, I have not seen
Not Harvey Keitel. Harvey Keitel's in The Pianist. No, pardon me. Harvey Keitel's in The Piano. Jesus. Suddenly switching those two up seemed very, very wrong.
Well, also Harvey Keitel has been in so many movies. He could very well be in. He could be in both movies for all we know.
Let's see. The last movie I saw that had Harvey Keitel in it was I finally got around to watching Easy Rider. I'd only seen little clips and snippets of it and not the full entire movie.
I'm the same way. I only seen the bit with I've only seen the very beginning of it, the bit where they meet Jack Nicholson, and then finally the bit and take him on the road, and finally the bit where they get shot.
Okay, that's not the very beginning.
I know.
You said you only saw the very beginning. I'm saying that's not.
I listed the 3 bits that I saw. I saw the very beginning, comma, the bit where they meet Jack Nicholson, comma, and the bit where they get shot in the end.
Okay. The very beginning is when they go to Mexico for the drug deal, and oh my God, that takes nearly half an hour. They don't meet Jack Nicholson until after they pick up Jesus on the side of the road, and that's after they visit the commune. So, no, Jack Nicholson doesn't show up until halfway through the movie. That's what I'm saying.
Right.
Mark, since you were bringing up World War II movies, now this does not fully uncover and kind of delve into the horrors of the war, but if I had to put a should-see movie, The Great Escape.
Oh,
I saw that for the first time this last year. That is awesome.
another one right up with The Great Escape, which is a should-see movie, is Stalag 17.
Oh, love Stalag 17. I think it might be my favorite Wilder film.
Now, a really great escaping from Germany movie is, I think I recommend this to Bill and Bill seen it, is Von Ryan's Express. It stars Frank Sinatra.
Interesting.
He actually does a fairly good job in it.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you have a chance, Von Ryan's Express is a really good escaping prisoner movie.
I think they're planning on remaking the movie Papillon.
Oh, are they? Because Papillon was wonderful.
And that's one of those. It was Steve McQueen and Dustin Hoffman, if I recall correctly, right?
That's correct.
And I think they're going to remake it with the guy who I'm a very big fan of, Rami Malek from Mr. Robot.
Oh, is that the one that they've been advertising on YouTube for the last 2 weeks?
I don't know.
No, wait a minute, I'm thinking of a different one.
You're thinking about Lost in Space.
Oh.
Yes, they're bringing back the series Lost in Space.
Oh, God. I don't know how they'll screw it up this time.
Well, what do you mean screw it up? Just how badly do you think they could, dish a 1970s, kids TV science fiction show?
I watched the movie.
Well, even that, you think that was messing things up? You have not watched the original show.
Yes.
When space aliens had basically bad costumes and glitter.
Wasn't one of their, and wasn't the pet alien a chimpanzee in a suit?
Oh, no, sir. That is Battlestar Galactica.
No, I'm not thinking of, I know I'm not thinking of Battlestar Galactica.
With the android dog?
No, this was
Yes, that was, a chimpanzee in a suit.
the daughter had a weird alien pet that in the way it moved, I was pretty sure it was a chimpanzee dressed up.
They did have a monkey, but it was a spider monkey. Yeah.
There. Well, gentlemen, I think this is almost ready for me to start to ink it. What do you think?
Looks good.
I would make his knuckles on the wrist part of his hand big and bulgy.
Okay.
But you could probably do that with color.
Yeah.
And Pat, did you just yawn? Has our sibling conversation lulled you into a...
Well, it's 8:30 on the East Coast, so.
And it's 5:30 here, and that's a wonderful segue to say that you've been watching another episode of Epic Sketch Time. Thank you for joining us. If you'd like to join Epic Sketch, I forgot to send this out by Twitter again. I always forget to do. Guys, you're gonna have to remind me to send this out on Twitter next time. If you'd like to join us, please go to the link below in the doobly-doo. Sign up to our MailChimp mailing list. You'll get a notification the day before if we're going to be having an event. And we don't meet on federal holidays, but otherwise we pretty much shoot for 4:30 every Monday. And gentlemen, I should see you guys next week.
Okay, terrific. Be seeing you.
So too.